Welcome back to this week's episode of Canutillo Convos, the official award-winning podcast of Canutillo ISD. And today we are here with our fearless leader.
Again with fearless.
Dr. Pedro Galaviz.
I fear board elections.
Oh.
I fear
performances. 20-minute performances.
20-minute performances. But really fearless are our two guests.
Yes, our special guests of the day. Our District Teachers of the Year from Northwest Early College, Miss Camila Zay.
Hi, everybody.
And then we
Good to be
Sarah
here.
Spencer, who is now at Bill Childress Elementary.
No.
CES.
Yes. I Canutillo Elementary School.
Okay, Canutillo Elementary School, but formerly at Deanna Davenport, where she received the recognition of her Campus Teacher of the Year before she was District. So, welcome, ladies.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's been a whirlwind, huh?
Oh,
Yes.
I was just telling Miss Spencer, this weekend, I'm still not off of, all the, excitement and all of that. I feel like this week I was just trying to settle back in. So, it's been.
How were your kids? How was your...
I love that they did a beautiful video for you.
They did. It's interesting because with high school kids, I feel like you're their whole world pretty much. And so they're like, why didn't you win? And so I explained to them, guys, when you're in the top of the top, you're up against these incredible teachers. And I told him, I said, I don't view it as a competition. We are just all there. And I mean, the people who won technically are incredible people. So I respect them and I'm happy for them. So
It's a great way of looking at it.
yeah.
As a SPED teacher, I was thrilled to see that other SPED teachers were recognized.
Yeah,
Both the
there's so
elementary
many.
teacher for the region is the SPED teacher, and the secondary teacher of the year for the region. They're both
of them.
SPED.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you guys are walking to your classroom, and I mean, what you do, Miss Spencer, in your classroom is just amazing. Just
Miracle workers.
There's a little boy with the keyboard, or he had to answer with the keyboard.
Oh, yeah. You have a lot of different assistive technology devices in my classroom. So most of my students are nonverbal communicators. And that's a really fundamental skill for all of us to have, no matter what their long-term goals are. We all have to be able to communicate basic wants, needs, academic knowledge. So I spend a lot of time working on communication skills, and we have several students on different devices in my classroom.
That's awesome.
Using different apps and showing. The teacher next door came to me this morning or yesterday afternoon and was like, help, because somebody had totally deleted all of the vocabulary for one of her students.
Oh, no.
It was the simplest fix. But I had the opportunity this summer to spend a week at a camp run by Region 19 called Camp Everyone Talks. And I took 3 students that use apps on iPads to communicate. And it was a lot of fun. It's a lot of focus on communication skills for those students. And so in some ways, I'm like the expert teacher in assistive technology.
That's awesome.
That's a big question. When I taught in the 90s, there's no cell phone.
Barely the internet.
Yeah.
I think the cell phones, big old.
Yeah.
The dial-up.
How is technology now? I mean, how do you do that with kids? High school? It's just, what's the technology today?
I mean, for us, you cannot operate without it. I mean, if the Wi-Fi is down, the world is over. You can't do anything without it. And not only that, I feel like our kids are so fast-paced in their thinking and their, they want to see the next thing, that if you're not on with the technology, then you lost them. And so they have to be, they have to have that stimulation. Constantly.
FOSS kids anymore?
I'm not sure what that is.
How's the science thing? FOSS kids, so you're just big old kids. And you used to make rocks, and you'd come out and you would make rocks.
I've never heard of that before.
Hands-on stuff about it.
Yeah.
Well, we always see you, Ms. A, doing your fun videos for Instagram. We see you a lot on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than entertainment. It's engaging them, but engaging them in the things that they like to do. And so that's where I feel like the biggest hook is that it's not just entertainment for just to keep them busy, but it's like, let me hook you in by the things that you like, and we're going to learn at the same time, you know, and I think that they appreciate that, because it's not just fruitless entertainment. It's, hey, we're doing this for a purpose and it's fun.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And we spoke a little bit last week about, now I've had the opportunity to check out both of your classrooms when you did the 3D models for your students. It was great. So I got an opportunity to see you in action. And it's just wonderful how you interact with your kids. And then Ms. Zay, I was talking last week on our podcast about the plane crash.
Oh, yeah.
That I got to take.
Yeah, that's one that it's a favorite every year. And it's funny because the kids who are actually going to do it, who are juniors, hopefully they're not listening, they don't know about it. But the seniors, the current seniors, they already did the year before. So they're the ones who helped me set it up. And so I tell them, okay, guys, tomorrow's the plane crash. Let's get this room ready. And you believe in 15 minutes, that room is destroyed because they just throw things. I mean, we literally destroy the room. But it's one of the favorites every year when they walk in, then you just see their eyes and they're just like, what happened?
How did you come up with that? Like that?
So I found a handout. It was just a worksheet that I found online that introduced the skill of calculating empirical formulas, which is in chemistry how they calculate the base formula, right? The base formulas of substances such as vanilla or chocolate. Those are some of the ones that are in that example, but there's also painkillers in there, and just every different substances that have their base chemical formula. And so the whole story is that there was a plane crash and they have to figure out what caused the plane to crash. And then there's a plot twist because there was actually someone who was murdered before the plane crashed. So they have to solve this whole mystery. And so I just set up the room like a plane crash, and then I have the clues all over the room, and they have to find the clues and solve the crime. But they're using their chemistry skills. So I build it in with a forensics twist, because they're using their chemistry skills, but in the setting of a forensics.
And they have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, they get so into it. I mean, I have the eerie music playing, I have the strobe lights going, I have the classroom's all dark. I mean, and I've done that activity for several years, but I've only done the full-blown plane crash for 3 years. And ever since I did that, I was like, I have to do it every year. It's
a vibe in there.
Yeah.
Feel it.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
So how was the experience from the teacher of the year, from the interviews to?
Because it's a process.
I mean, really.
Yeah. Nobody warned you how much time it takes to answer all of the questions when when you're going for the region teacher of the year. There's so many steps, and there's the video and the fancy formal wear, and you're answering questions,
the photo shoot,
and you're answering questions there, and then there's an online application that's 5 essay questions, and then you go in for the interview, in-person interview, and then we had an event last Tuesday too where Dr. G was asking us other questions.
Yeah, so it's a process, and it's I mean, it's funny because there was some people who told me you need to enjoy your summer, just kind of just put that on the back burner, don't stress too much about it. But for me, I just felt what a privilege it is to be in this position anyway. I'm no, I'm gonna leave it all out there, and I'm gonna go full on. And so you do. I feel as teachers, it's in our nature to just go all out and be
And I'll say what this campus, he goes, this teacher would be excellent
once he learns his content.
I was all like,
No.
Yes. Yeah.
We might have to delete that.
I was like, Okay.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, it was a little awkward.
Said about not having clothes or being naked and
Oh,
Yeah.
it was.
they showing out.
Yeah, some people, their response. I mean, look, I guess in their defense, it's a little bit nerve wracking when you're up there, like on the fly. You don't know what anybody's going to ask you.
Yes.
Ask me a simple one.
Yes,
Why are
but
they grooming practice for
but they are not, Dr. G. They're not.
That was a softball time.
It was a good way to kind of like
Break the ice.
Yes.
Yes.
Have a laugh because Dr. Galaviz knows that I'm a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan, and why would you root for any other team?
If you don't want to that's fine.
Burn.
We know where you're going.
We're going to the Super Bowl.
That's where they're going.
Like Jack.
Good comeback. That was a good comeback.
It's cool. I'm blushing right now. I'm like mad. Now, but it's because sometimes the supers, they're very serious. Relax.
Yeah.
It's just
And that was good because it is nerve wracking for us. I mean, the whole time I'm sitting there listening to person after person go up, and I'm like, oh man, what is my question gonna be? And I'm sitting here trying to think about what am I gonna say, and I don't know. It was good.
Yeah.
Kind of comic relief there.
Yeah.
so. But I guess why teaching? What brought you into the profession way back when?
I mean, I think for me, it's always been in me. I remember when I was little, we would play school and I was the teacher, you know? And I really feel like teaching is a gift and God gives it to some people. And I feel like I got it. I feel like I have it and that is my calling. And so there was not any profound reason or anything like that other than I just feel it in my soul every day, even on the hard days. And believe me, there's hard days. But even on those days, it's like, no, I'm coming here and I'm going to leave it all out there. And this is why I'm walking on this earth for this reason. I've never been more convinced of anything in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to piggyback on what she just said, and then I'll start my story. But there's been lots of changes for me. As we said earlier, I was moved from Davenport to Canutillo Elementary School. My class size doubled. The range of, I had a small caseload, so I say doubled, but it's a manageable caseload, but it's a big change for me. And the range of skills is in my classroom this year is huge. And so I'm having to do a lot of like different lesson planning for this small group and this small group and this small group. They're not even in the same curriculum because I have little ones that are just learning to barely like match or identify like numbers or their names, and then I have a group of 3 second graders that are learning how to read and everything in between, and lots of behaviors. And I moved my classroom over this summer. I worked summer school. I went to a conference this summer. I did the talk camp this summer. My summer was very short.
You were at Dunkin' Donuts.
No, sorry.
Cookies.
Dr. Galaviz knows that I have a child who this will be their last year selling Girl Scout cookies, Dr. Galaviz. But you got me off track. Anyways, I'm working very long hours, like trying to get things settled, like really focusing on a lot of behaviors and making new visuals and visual schedules and all the prep that happens at the beginning of the school year, and especially when you have a different set of kids that you're still figuring out. So we've been working really long hours, and we had all the excitement this weekend, but I think it was Tuesday, even, I don't like taking work home and working extra hours at home, but I was in my classroom with the students, and we're having a lot of success with a couple of really challenging students, and it was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to be. Like, there were maybe other opportunities for me, but I just know in my heart of hearts, even on those really hard days, this is where I'm meant to be.
Yep.
And for my journey, I did not go to college thinking that I was going to be a teacher, but I was that kid in elementary school, playing school
Yeah.
in the summer, doing all
That's
the
how it
extra
starts.
worksheets that the teacher sent home, even though I didn't really need to do it. School was a happy place for me. I'm lucky that way. There's lots of adults out there that say school was not a happy place for them. I actually thought I was going to be a research biologist when I started off in school, and things just that ended up not being the path that I really was called to, and majored in something totally different, not education, and ran in college. I worked before and after school programs for the YMCA, and then worked as a program director for them, doing the same thing, before and after school programs, day camps and whatnot. And then I started having kids, and that schedule was really hectic because I was like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., like all sort, and those kind of things. And so I had the opportunity when my oldest was a baby to run a church-based early childhood center. And I really fell in love with early childhood at that point. And I did early childhood ran early childhood centers for about 6 years, mostly 4 years at the church-based, and we moved for my husband's job, and I worked for a for-profit for the very first time in my career. And a year into it, I hated it because it was all about the bottom line, and bottom line, and bottom line, bottom line, and I didn't get to really do what I loved. And I had the opportunity in Nashville to do an alternative certification program for special ed. And in all of in working for the Y and in my early childhood experience, I really was drawn to the challenging kids, the ones that struggled. And then the WISE program was fully inclusive. So I really enjoyed that. So that was when I entered the alternative certification program. That's what I applied for special ed. And that's like, you really get thrown into the deep end through that program.
Imagine.
You get, the program that I did was like an intense 6 weeks in the summer, and then you get hired. And I got hired in this life skills elementary classroom in Nashville. But what I loved about this program, and it changed after I kind of graduated, is, I taught all day during the day, but then part of the program was getting my master's in special ed. So I was a first-year teacher and then taking classes 2 nights a week.
Yeah.
But my grad school teachers were all special ed teachers, experienced teachers. And so they were great resources for our cohort. And there was like 12 of us in the cohort at the time.
And I bet great for you, like as a first-year teacher, too.
Yeah. And so by the time, after 2 years, I had my master's degree, which I really, and then full certification, which I really feel like prepared me well.
So if you were to go back as a first-year teacher, go back to now, to the years, what would you tell that Miss Camila or Miss Spence first time in their classroom?
I would tell them, do the airplane crash that year. Like, do it. In other words, like, don't be afraid to be bold. If you're learning about the jungle, turn your classroom into a jungle. And I said that on my Region 19 interview as well. Like, that's my number one advice to new teachers. And I've had several student teachers that have come through my classroom, and they'll spend semesters with me. And that's the one thing, if they bring me an idea, I'm like, do it. Do the idea. Because you're never going to know what a success it's going to be later unless you try it. And yeah, it might be a lot of mess to pick up later, like the airplane crash. But I mean, it's pays off like over and over and over again, the more that you just do.
Remember too.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And it's funny how they, like, my kids keep it a secret. I mean, hopefully, again, none of them listen, but yeah. They keep it a secret for the next year because they know how great it was for them when they walked through the door and they saw everything that they saw, And so that's my advice always to my student teachers or any new teacher is do the thing. Do that crazy idea. Do it.
It's about connecting, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Spencer, what would you tell little Spencer?
I feel like I would tell them to do what I did, which is seek out mentors, seek out people. Like, don't be afraid to say, I don't know, or learn new skills. And part of that, I think, was instilled in me because, I was a brand new teacher and going to class at night. So I was constantly learning and then applying that learning to what I was doing in my classroom. And so that's just continuously been my model. Learn from the people around you. Don't hesitate to reach out. There's been times in my career in this district, and I love working for a smaller district, but nobody else in the district does exactly what I do. And so making those contacts at Region 19 has always been huge for me. I'm not afraid to have, there's like 4 of them at Region 19 that have been in my classroom at one point or another, reaching out to them and saying, help, I'm stuck here. Can you come observe? Can you give me suggestions? What trainings? I'm always doing additional trainings and doing extra things like that talk camp because I want to learn. The more I learn, the better I am at supporting my students. And my students are never the same from year to year. Even if they stick with me for several years, where they are this year is not where they were a year ago.
Yeah.
How's the teacher's lounge? Is it still, do they have a lounge still?
We have a portable.
Soon
Soon to be building. Can't wait for that.
How's the lounge like? I guess one of my mentors say, stay away from the teacher.
Stay out of the lounge. I agree with that sentiment because the negativity can kind of bring you down. But here's the other side of that. Like, I have a group of, my squad, and sometimes we share memes with each other from teacher misery because it helps to validate, like, this is what we go through. So I feel like in that sense, it's not the negativity, it's just the camaraderie, even in the struggles,
It's hard.
So I think when you find that common ground, even with maybe the teachers who could tend to be a little bit negative, it's validation is what it is. And it's saying like, hey, I see you and I know, like, we're in this together. And so for me, that's just the way that I approach, like, I guess maybe people who tend to be a little bit more negative is say, like, you're right, this is hard, but let's keep going, like, I'm here with you, like, let's do it. And so building more of a camaraderie than building on the negativity. Yeah.
Stay away.
It's hard. It is hard because you have to be very intentional in how you approach it.
The profession as it is.
Yeah.
And if you don't love what we do, if you don't love what you do every day, you're gonna have ups and downs. As a teacher. But next question: how are parents today?
Great.
I always, and I've spoken about this in several of my interviews, and I think I even spoke about it on last Tuesday. Like, I really try hard to build relationships with my parents of my students, because I give my students for more than 1 year. I can have them for 4 years, some cases. My homebound students, I'm in their homes every day.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't have a good relationship, that's gotta be miserable for all of us. Parents come to us with different skill sets, and especially parents of children with very significant disabilities. And parents have told me, we feel so vulnerable to put our child on the school bus and not know at first if they're really going to be cared for and how are they going to be treated. Because unfortunately, it's the worst case scenarios that make it into the news media. It's not the best case scenarios. But I always try to communicate to parents that I see their child. I care for their child. Their child is going to be safe and loved in my classroom. And parents, even non-verbal students and students with very significant challenges, parents know, the kids know who treats them with respect. And so when parents see, okay, my child comes on this, is eager to go on the school bus every morning. When they when I communicate with them, even if it's about a struggle we're having, I'm communicating with them as part of our team. Like, how are you handling this at home? Or what, do you have any suggestions? Or, did something happen on the weekend? Because he came in like really off. And really building those relationships with parents goes so far. And yes, it's frustrating because sometimes, you are working with a parent of a child that you would make different parenting choices if you were that parent. But I also recognize that I have access to resources not all of our parents have access to.
Yeah.
And if I come at that relationship with, I want to do what's best for your child, and I know that you want to do what's best for your child, we can meet in the middle. And in my entire career, I've only had one parent that I just couldn't get them to meet me in the middle somewhere.
There's always one, right?
Yeah. I'm that parent I'm that teacher that parents know how to reach me. And, I shared like one of my homebound kiddos went into the hospital last week. Mom called me at 7 p.m. and somebody at school was like, why are you answering your phone to a parent at 7 p.m.? And I was like, that parent never calls me. Like something's up. Something's up. At some point I will like tell parents, okay, I'm going to bed. Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing too, is like, because I'm on the other side of the spectrum from you, right? But even at the early college, I feel like when there's parents that maybe feel a little bit uneasy about, what's going on in the classroom, or why does my student have this grade, or, whatever questions, I think building that relationship and breaking down the wall of I'm, teacher and you're just the parent. No, we're both people. We're both human beings, and we both care about this one child, which is your child. I think that communicates so much, and you can begin to break down those walls of like maybe a little distrust or a little bit of like uncertainty of what's going on. And when you communicate that, like, I care about your son or your daughter, I care about their outcome, I care about their mental health, I care about their success. When parents start to see that, then it just kind of dissolves all the other stuff. So it's
at the high school, because you're like, ma'am or sir, your kid's 17 years old. Next year when they get out in the real world, you're not gonna be able to argue a grade.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, sometimes it's like, I feel like all of us have this nature in our human tendency that sometimes we just have to learn by the school of hard knocks, and the university of sticks and rocks or whatever. And so we can say those things over and over. Just wait till you get to the real world. I mean, right now I'm the sponsor for the class of 25. And that's been what I've been preaching since last year. Just wait, guys. Just wait. And so we're gonna wait and see.
Yeah. Graduation at Abrams.
At the Abraham Chavez. Yes.
I'm gonna follow the class of 24.
Well, I think here's the real thing, and I don't know how this will come off, but they are afraid that if in the event that there's bad weather, they don't want to have their graduation somewhere that they don't want to have it. Yes. They don't want to have their graduation at the CHS auditorium. And so the next best thing, because we wanted to do it at the Plaza, but it's booked because there's a Broadway show that week. So then they suggested the Abraham Chavez. So I think that's where I don't know if there's a contract in place yet, but we're working on
breaking news.
Oh, maybe. Oh no, I have to edit that out.
When I was at Northwest, a couple seniors, I said, hey, we're going to graduate.
Yeah.
Some juniors too, class of 26. They had no clue.
Right. They won't, yeah.
Class of 25, right? So not at the canyon, and they go, no. And they told me because of weather. They're afraid of the weather.
They're afraid, yeah, because it was really beautiful last year. I mean, I thought it was incredible. But I feel like this class, they're so interesting because they're very particular about things. I mean, I just got out of a senior class meeting with them where we spent half an hour picking out the announcement because they're very particular. And so they think through, can we have this font on this colored paper and this design? And I'm like, guys, no, you can't. You have to just pick one. And so that was kind of their train of thought of thinking about all of the possible scenarios. And, you know, graduating at CHS Auditorium was just not an option. You know, they didn't even want that to be like plan B or, yeah. So
your daughter's class.
Yes.
Great.
I mean, I guess we're just a bunch of risk takers. We don't care. So what if it's CHS auditorium?
I mean, it would be like, I have a child who is a senior this year at Coronado High School.
Class of 25.
As class of 25. I can imagine that if they were told your graduation is going to be at Franklin High School, they would not be very happy.
They'd be like, nope.
Oh, so this is at the Haskins, right?
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
else's.
Yeah.
Big one.
Yeah.
Are they ever going to finish that school? Have they finished it?
I think they just did,
they
right?
just did. I mean, we joked
Yeah.
that they were going to spend their whole high school career in a construction zone, but I think they just finished it.
I think they just did.
But
Parking is.
yeah, they finally opened the parking lot, which had been taken over by the construction trailers. So that helps. But I rarely get to be the person that drops them off in the morning or picks them up in the evenings because I work. I'm at my school by 7 a.m. They're still asleep in my house. And then, you know, after I get off school, my classroom, my contract hours, and then I have homebound students that I see in the evening. So I'm rarely home before 6:45. So unless they're really staying late after school, like I just don't get to do that. On the
So you missed all the construction, huh?
I mean, on the rare occasion when I had the opportunity to drop them off or pick them up when our calendars were just slightly off of sync, I would not know where to go. I'd have to call my friend who normally provides some of that transportation and be like, "How do you to get there?"
How does the pickup line work again?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up. Construction.
Oh yeah, let's talk about dive deep into this one.
Yeah. So as some of you may know or have noticed, the central office is full in on the construction now. Yeah, it's going down literally.
So what exactly is gonna happen?
They took the front, they being tech stock.
The parking lot.
Yeah, they took the front and they took all of HMR.
Oh, the actual building.
Dr. G's former office.
Oh,
Yeah. Dr. Gurney's.
Yeah, the front, all that is done.
oh wow.
That's where they're going to build the highway, the on-ramps or whatever, from down there.
So it's just gonna take like that small area, or?
Elizabeth.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
If all of this, Rudy's is gone. Supposedly, the gas station on the other side is gone.
Oh wow.
How's Dreer is that going to? And it's
I believe so, no?
yeah.
So no, it's on the plan.
So yeah, so all of it is.
So is this building eventually gonna be gone, or it's still gonna?
We're allowed to stay. The need
Oh, okay.
this big. So
Oh,
that's why we TechStot. They tore down that front, as you saw, the construction entrance here on the side.
New entrance.
So, and then we get to stay here.
Oh, I see.
And 5 more parking spots. Yeah. It's like the Hunger Games out there.
Oh man, I bet.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, how's it gonna be during board meetings and like during where it like gets really packed here?
So the idea is we have it at the schools. It's a lot, and it's a lot of the school. Or principal, I wouldn't want.
They did move the special education building as now in or the special education department is in the Lone Star building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And there's pros and cons. I mean, as a sped teacher, like there's pros and cons. And of course, right now I'm like right next door in Canutillo Elementary School. They're right next door.
For hours, and
I mean, I don't know. For me,
She's still figuring it out,
I'm
right?
still figuring that out. Although, like when we had training there, pre-service training in the Lone Star building, it would allow me to go to my classroom for 45 minutes and prep a little bit before having to report to training. As we all are aware, it's an older building. So then sitting in that training and the air conditioning was not really working.
Oh man.
It was really warm.
But
yeah. And then they weren't working great. I mean, it's an older building.
Yeah.
But the SPED department has more space there.
Oh, okay.
So there's a conference room they've set up.
That's a pro.
That's a pro. Especially like as I was combining 2 classrooms worth of stuff, like I just had so much stuff that I didn't even have space for. And I still don't have space for all the things that I need. So things that we didn't use, there's kind of as a workroom where you can come and print and make things and laminate things if that's what you need to do, like after school. Or there's just like stuff like, okay, I don't need this anymore, but it's still usable.
Someone else might use it.
Another SPED teacher might be able to use this. And so there's kind of like a take one, leave one sort of area. So that's kind of nice for us because we've known like, hey, like there's all this assistive tech stuff that's just sitting in a closet somewhere, but teachers probably could use it if they knew what was available.
Yes.
So
I know for us, we're definitely looking forward to the new building, the new construction over there. I mean,
Long time coming.
we are actually having a meeting, I think, next week to talk to
or city.
Yes, the architect, and kind of talk about, like for me, for example, like how do we want our science labs? How do we want, the layout of certain things? And because there's definitely a layout that functions better in a college setting, which is what all of our teachers kind of agree on, like this is kind of the layout that we would want to have. So we're looking forward to that. To having like working air conditioners, Right now there's like a few teachers that don't have air conditioning, and so it's
I with the architect last week.
Uh-huh.
And like there's levels on how you want to build a school. One is the traditional brick and level 2 is getting a little more open space. 3 is more open space, taught to collaborative spaces. 4 has never been built, but she told me in Texas.
Oh.
So she's also the architect, Miss Irene, is the one that they vote on the best architectural awards for around the state.
Oh, okay.
So she's gonna show you some spaces that you're
I can't wait.
and like for what I would say to Mr. Clark and Irene is Northwest just has a different vibe.
It does. Yeah.
So I said, right there, you could be your number 4.
That's your 4, yeah.
It's your 4 because of that learning there, those kids there.
Yeah. It is really unique. I mean, I worked at CHS for 12 years, and when I moved to Northwest, it was like, where have I been this whole time? Wow, it's really incredible. I mean, the environment, the culture, it has really made me thrive as a teacher, honestly, to be there. And
you all treat kids like
Adults.
like how are they just responsible?
Yeah.
Trust them. Yeah, you're gonna have my coach. Used to call us knuckleheads.
Yes, you're gonna have your
You're gonna
knuckles.
have 1,
Yeah.
2, then we're gonna.
But it's a training process.
It's part of it.
I mean, I think right now as our freshmen are new coming in, that's why we did our Griffin Academy during that first week with just the freshmen, because it's a training process and you have to set the bar
They're not used to
from
just
the
walking
beginning.
over. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a different band. But that's why I think in the traditional high school, if you started treating them like expectations, they just get the class.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go over rules with you. You've been in school pre-K through 8, same thing.
Yep.
Come in, sit down,
Yes.
open your mind, be respectful. This is like grandma's house. Don't fight. If you fight, enjoy it to you. So, but that's why I can't wait to see.
Yeah. It's exciting.
We're going to be house groups to start showing you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So we shared this story with Dr. G last week, but when we were chosen, when Miss A and I were chosen as teachers of the year, you couldn't have found two people that taught the most opposite spectrum within the district. I teach elementary severe profound students with very significant complex access needs, and Miss A teaches the brightest of the bright of what we have in juniors and seniors, college science. And I shared, we were just talking, and I was asking her about, are you guys getting excited about the new build?
Yeah.
And I said, I volunteered May 4th. I did the closing polling station at Reyes. And it was just me and 3 or 4 students from Northwest Early College.
Yeah, our kids really volunteered. They wanted that so much.
And, at the end of the day, it's pretty slow. We thanked people for coming out, and it was a slow but steady group. And we knew it was going to be close. At the end, I was signing like a piece of paper
for their community
service hours. And I told them, and I was at Davenport at the time. It would have probably closed if we didn't pass the bond. But I knew that our Davenport family would be okay. It would not have been ideal. And I spoke for my max 3 minutes to the board before we knew, advocating for my DDE family. But I knew ultimately the teachers and the students and the staff, we would be okay. But I felt the worst for the early college high kids because I knew that their facilities were not in good shape. And so I said to the students, you all deserved better facilities, and I really hope for your sake that this passes. And
those were my kids. They came to me the next day, and they were like, Miss, we don't know who it was, but there was a teacher there, and she just told us that we really deserved it. And it's interesting because those kids are not going to get to see the fruit of their labor until they're not going to get to benefit from it. But they felt so good and so fulfilled in just doing that and helping it happen for the next kids. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And those were my class of 25 kids.
Yeah.
So.
And we didn't know who each other was at the time.
What a coincidence.
Yeah.
You can.
Well, thank you all for showing up.
Yeah, of course.
Busy schedules
And you really did the district proud.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good experience.
It was a really good experience. I'm very honored to represent the district. Part of me is glad that I'm not going on just because my students need me. They need 100% of my focus right now. And so I'm okay with that. But I also, afterwards was really kicking myself for not doing better in the interview because I was sick.
Well,
I was sick the day of the interview.
Yeah, and you can think back on, I should have said this.
Yeah. And one of the service providers that I work with came in this week, and she was asking me about it, and I felt like there were high expectations for me to do well, and I really wanted to live up to that. And we were talking about it, and she said something about my national board certification. I said, I didn't even mention that.
I didn't either. I kicked myself too because I was like, man, in my interview, I did not even say that I was national board certified.
Yeah.
I was like, why didn't I say that?
And that's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal no matter what, but for me, I'm the only teacher in the region to have I'm the only teacher in the region to have the special ed national board certification. And to not even say that in my interview, I'm like,
I didn't say it in my interview either. And I was, that's one of the things that, the night before on, I guess it was Friday night, I was laying in bed and I could not sleep. And I told my husband, I was like, I wish I would have said about my national board, and I can't believe I didn't say that. But I mean, we can only do what we can do, right? And we left it all out there.
Yeah,
that's all we could do. Thank you.
Thank you.
stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you all for listening. And also, just to make you aware, we are open at central office, new entrance on the east side of our building.
Only smiles though. Only wiggles Wiggles and giggles.
Wiggles and
Not
If
wiggles.
you were, you should have been in my classroom this afternoon because that's all we had this afternoon was wiggles and giggles.
he was sending the vibe down
Yes.
there.
It's a good day. All right. Well, we'll
All right.
talk to you next time. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.